So, good morning and welcome to the Battery Doctor's YouTube channel. Today I've had a little talk with my Ryobi 36V batteries, and I think I've come to a conclusion. We're all agreeing on the same thing. Me and all of my 9 batteries. We agree that you need to subscribe. That is the solution to everything. Now, let's be serious. Here I have 9 Ryobi batteries, all of them 36V. And I've done some more advanced diagnostics, as I'm calling it. I know it's not advanced. I do not lick every single inductor to see what your tastes like or something like that. But I've taken all the data I can from outside of the battery case, and now I will go into the battery case. Now I haven't found a single source online that can tell me what the error codes are for the Ryobi batteries. I've even checked Ryobi manuals, but they do not say. I have both 6, 9 and 12 ampere hour batteries. The error code I'm referring to as 24. That is when LED 2 and 4 light up. And that seems to be a pretty common fault with most of my batteries. And then we have number 5, which is a little bit different. First it's flashing error 3 and then it's flashing error 2. Really special little bugger, this one. And then we have the last 3, which are not really error codes, rather just the last light lighting up. But this one is blinking, then I write a B, and none of these want to work in the charger right away, not even the special one. Here is the last one, and it has the LED 4 glowing, but it still does not want to take a charge. And then I have the reference battery, which actually works in the charger and works with a power tool. And it's about 50% charge. And now I have discovered one fatal flaw in these batteries, and I'm not talking about low voltage. I'm talking about diode 20 being completely burned up. And I've seen many of those, mostly in 6 ampere batteries. We get 43 or 47 in 2022, so we actually have one of those batteries here. But I can't see any burn marks from the outside. And I've also measured the voltage and gotten a stable voltage from everyone except 2, which have millivolts, and then we have the reference. Now, an interesting thing, and I measured all the T channels. They are exactly the same on all batteries, not exactly, but they average about 20k on both T1, T2, and 1k on T3, and open line on T4 on all of them. That is really weird, I think. I would have guessed that they would have different values, but maybe that's just information for the power tool or something that doesn't have to do with the battery. But I would suspect one of them is for telling the charger how fast you could charge. But maybe it will do that after it sends a charger. But I can't really see anyone digging down too much in these 36 volts. But I do have a lot of them. I really want to get some of them working. So let's dig into them and see if we can figure out what the error code means. It's gonna be a long video. It's gonna be a low effort video because that is the only thing I can offer. I am burned out and I do not take reshoots, and I don't really have time to make scripts or something like that. So let's start with opening this up. It's pretty simple, but you also need to remove the sticker over here. And the reason is you want to pull this one right out because there are 2 metal bars holding the handle in place. And you don't want to damage those handle pins. I doubt Ryobi sells spare to people who open their batteries. Now I'm also going to share you one other thing which I think many of you might be wondering. How come the 6 ampere hour version and the 12 ampere hour version battery are exactly the same in size? Shouldn't this be twice as big? This is the Ryobi holder inside all of the 6 ampere versions, which have 18650 cells. Now you can fit an 18650 cell down here, but if you look closely, there's a lot of air around the cell. And if you remove it, you can see that there are hinges on all 4 sides that keep the cells in place. Now I believe these cell holders are actually made for 21700 cells, which fit in here but not in the last part. So they have 2 versions of these cell holders, one with these added dents to keep the 18650s in place, and one without, where they can put 21700s. Can use the same nickel and the same case, same BMS, everything is the same. All the change are the cells and the cell holders. That is actually pretty smart. It does make the 6 ampere version battery quite big, but most will probably go for one of the bigger ones instead. So here's that diode that is usually broken, but this one doesn't have that date interval. I did saw another interesting thing. We had 3 with the same date, all of them being 12 ampere versions, 2021 week 5. So we will do a measurement of all the cells and we will test the D20 diode. We will check the fuse, because on 2 of them it actually might be a fuse. Now this has a real BMS that protects the cell, with 2 MOSFETs being under this heatsink. And so I've made this little map of the Ryobi landscape to help me navigate. Now I know this is a low effort channel and that's the only thing I can offer, but I have some smaller improvements to make. I do have a mic. I don't know where it is, but I do have a little bug mic that I could use to probably get better audio. And also, I could do something about the camera stand, which always seems to knock, making the picture shake. So I ordered 2 other versions, which might be a little more stable. And the third one actually got a microscope, because I did find a pretty cheap one online. You don't need to spend hundreds of euros on a very expensive Louis Rossmann microscope. There are these little microscopes that you can put on your camera, like kids use when they're trying to find bugs. And those are just like 20 bucks. And it seems to be of good quality, so I'll try one of those out. So let's get cracking on this battery. And all of these have been unopened. I removed the security plug on all of them. And here's the positive, negative terminals. Okay, good voltage, 36.24. So let's do the cells. 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.5, 3.5, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.0, which means cell 8 and cell 9, so 3.6. So this one we could actually try and balance. Let's check this diode, 0.563. So I will also check for one more thing. So I will put this on the charger. Now I balanced up this low cell, which was around 3 volts, to 3.57. Do you think that's all the error? Still error 24. What happens if we do a reset? Nothing. So I will desolder them and hope that someone else can come with a solution, because it looks like the only way to fix this is replace the BMS. So let's move on to battery number 2, which is 9 ampere hours from week 3 in 2020. That's 18.3 volts and the same error 24. It's LG cells. I thought they were using something 30T. HG2. Fuse look fine. Let's see if we can measure the diode. 0.563. 36.7. 3.9, so it's unbalanced. 3.9, 3.9, 3.9, 3.9, 3.9. Here we have the trouble. Cell 8 is 1.3 volts. 3.9 and 3.9. 1.331. I think I will try and revive that one. That is still a pretty good voltage. So I think we're ready for number 3, 6 ampere hours, error 24. And this was week 43, 2022. So now it's really important to check the diode. 0.564, almost identical to the other ones. It's not a broken diode. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 0.5, 3.5, 0.5, and 3.5. So I don't know what else could be wrong. But since all the cells are good, we could try the reset function. Ground 3.3, reset 3.2 volts. Let that go down to 0. Release. And it started flashing, but it still says error 24. So reset didn't help. Here we have number 4, also error 24. Full voltage, 34.8, 3.6, 3.6, 3.5, 3.6, 3.6, 3.5-ish, 3.47. There we have 2.9, 3.3. So here we could also try and revive that cell. I don't know if that will help, because there's obviously something more wrong. We can try a reset, since the cells are at least okay. Has this worked for anyone ever? 3.3, ground those. Release. Still the same error. So let's check out battery 5 from 2021. And this was the one that had the weirdest error message. Now it just chose error 2. Before it also had error 3. It's a 12 amp hour version. The error message lights up. I'm gonna try and measure the diode. The diode sounds good. 35.8, 3.6, 3.5, 3.6, 3.0, 3.6, 3.6, 3.6, 3.6, 3.6, 3.6. So you might charge that cell up a little bit if it works on the other battery. Let's do a reset on this as well. Reset, ground, 3.3 volts. Reset. Let's leave it on for 10 seconds and see if that does any different. No, still error 2, but the 3 LEDs light up at first. So I feel like it's actually checking the voltage. And there you see, first LED 3 and then LED 2. Error 24, week 5, 2021. Yeah, still a decent value. 36.59, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 2.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7. Let's try a reset. Let's try 5 seconds this time. 5. Nothing happened, but the indicator lights up. The same error message. Oh, now we're into the EB4, LED 4 blinking. What date did we have? 2022, week 52. That's a new week where diodes break. Very small hint on the outside. They do have a mica plate over here for the fuse, but they really should have one over that diode. Look at that branding. It's not supposed to look like that. And 17 volts. Yeah, this is harvesting cells and throwing away the BMS. The only thing you can actually harvest from them is this plastic thingy. That's too bad. We have another 6. Week 8, 2021. Diode looks good. Yeah, fine. 30.67, 3.4. Do we have that cell? Yeah. Cell 2 is 66 millivolts. So if LED 4 is flashing, that might mean dead cell group. 3.4, 3.4, 3.3, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4, 3.4. Now another thing I've noticed is that this cell block is exactly identical to this cell block, but it's flipped 180 degrees. So what I started doing is trying to save these individual cell blocks which have good cells, and I will sell them on the website, so people that have just one dead cell group only needs to buy half a battery to fix it. Okay, let's move on to the other one, and this might be a potential good BMS then. And we just have number 9 left, which has a steady light. So I checked it on the charger, and the charger turned red for 1 minute, and then it turned red and green after 1 minute. Now if my battery is defective, Ryobi, why don't you tell me that straight away? Why do I have to stand there and wait a minute before you decide, oh, it's defective? Let's just do a reset on this. 3.2, around 5 seconds. No, still the same. Let's try the compatible charger again. Does not recognize the battery, not even after 1 minute. So, yeah, this is a real mess. I don't know how to fix any of these, except for balancing them up and maybe replacing them. I don't know if any of my other BMS works. It really seems like the BMS is the weak point on the Ryobi. So I will see if I will harvest them or if I will try something else, because I have a lot of them and very few are working.